Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson football channel for 6 things that we learned from Rennes 1, Chelsea 2. Qualification for the last 16 of the Champions League has been well and truly secured. Sevilla scored a late goal to beat Krasnodar, which means there is still something to play for in terms of who wins the group. Chelsea would have been in the driving seat. We would have been 2 points clear. We could have afforded a draw in Seville. But now, well, we can still technically afford a draw in Seville. But we're going to go into this a little bit later on. Before we get into the meat and potatoes of today's video, I want to ask you to subscribe to GBFC if you haven't already done so. There are still like 37% of people that watch these videos, particularly this series, that still aren't subscribed. So if we could try and get people to subscribe, then well, that would be bloody wonderful. Tell your dog. We're going to get into the 6 things that we learn. It was a late goal that wins Chelsea the game in a match where it kind of went exactly how I thought it was going to go in terms of the way that I saw Rennes play. When they came to Stamford Bridge, they were far better than the 3-0 scoreline suggested. And in the away fixture yesterday, we saw that they were pretty good going forward. They caused us a lot of problems. It wasn't a vintage Chelsea win, but in a way it kind of was vintage in the sense of Chelsea of old. We used to be able to win games without playing very well, and yet we did it last night. And I think that what we've seen from this result is the steps that this Chelsea team have taken to not just become a team that can score a lot of goals and sometimes concede a lot of goals, but sometimes we don't need to play at our very best and we come away with job done. And away from home in Europe, that's all sometimes you can ask for. So box number 1, I've given a blue box. It could have been one of 3 players for me yesterday, but I've given the blue to the man who has kind of just been left in the deep blue recently, Olivier Giroud. It wasn't really my plan to rhyme all of that together, but it sounded pretty sick once I did it. Olivier Giroud scores the most. Have you ever seen a more typical Olivier Giroud goal than what he scored last night? I've seen a lot of people, in not just Chelsea fans, singing the praises of Olivier Giroud, singing the praises of Chelsea Football Club for doing an incredibly piece of astute business. I think I've just said all of the English wrong there. To sign him from Arsenal. Arsenal go out and get Lacazette, who arguably is half the striker that Olivier Giroud is. Chelsea managed to acquire Giroud. He fires us towards Europa League glory, fires us towards the FA Cup final. And again, he's winning Chelsea matches because there's something that you don't understand about Giroud. Some of the goals he scores would not be scored if there was an alternative player on the field at the time. Some people are like, well, he only played about 25, 30 minutes and he scored a header that was kind of like, yeah, but look at the header, okay? The way that Olivier Giroud scores this header, there's not really any pace on the ball whatsoever. He's got a player still on the line. He's got the goalkeeper and defender still challenging him. He's got to get everything that he has on that ball and the sharpness of his eyes to see that the shot is coming in from Werner, who probably should have scored himself. It hangs in the air, and Olivier Giroud gets as much power as if the ball was coming in from a hard-hit corner, and he rifles it into the top corner. It's not an easy goal to score. People might just see it as like a little bit of a headed tap-in from 6 yards. It is a very difficult header. There's no pace on the ball. It's all about the timing of the jump, the timing of the leap from Olivier Giroud, and the neck muscle power that he gets behind it. When you look at the scoreline, 1-1 into 2-1 in the 91st minute of the game, Olivier Giroud wins 3 points for Chelsea. It wasn't the best performance from all of our strikers yesterday. We're going to talk a little bit about Werner later. I know that you guys might have a lot to say about how harsh potentially I've been in this video on Timo Werner, but Olivier Giroud, in my humble opinion, Chelsea need to be doing everything that we possibly can to try and keep Olivier Giroud at the club. I have kind of looked into the whole debate about Giroud needs to leave in order to keep his place in the Euros team. I think Didier Deschamps, the France manager, will be aware that even if Olivier Giroud doesn't play that much football if he stays at Chelsea between now and the end of the season, I think Deschamps isn't stupid enough to know that Giroud can still bring a lot to his team. He's very important to the French national side, whether he's playing minutes regularly for Chelsea or not. We saw it last night. He's called upon after not really having a sniff in recent weeks due to the form of Tammy and Timo, and he wins the game for Chelsea. There is no doubt in my mind, Olivier Giroud just as Peter Crouch said, is one of, if not the most underrated striker in Europe. We know what he does, we know what his abilities are, and he wins points and matches for his teams, whether it's for club or for country. So, right now, the key thing for Lampard is man management, in terms of he needs to have a conversation with Giroud, be very honest with him and say, you know what, Timo and Tammy are still ahead of you in the pecking order. We know what you bring to this team. We value what you bring to this team. Are you willing to play far less minutes than you would if you were to move on, but potentially be part of a team that challenges for the title, is challenging for competitions on all fronts? Does Olivier Giroud want that? It depends on how well Frank Lampard sells this project to him for the next few months. So we move into box number 2, and it's a green box for the man who once again played against his former club and won the game for Chelsea as well. You could argue that Olivier Giroud's goal is obviously the one that won it, but Edouard Mendy's saves throughout this game were massive for Chelsea. There were moments yesterday where we kind of saw the frailties of defending set pieces come back. Yes, Rennes did score from Guirassi's header, which made it 1-1 with just a few minutes to go. Chelsea conceding goals from corners again. We thought we'd forgotten about that one. But again yesterday, Edouard Mendy made some massive saves, which keep Chelsea in the game, funnily enough, and gives us the opportunity to go and score a 91st minute winner. I've said it time and time again. I feel as though every single video now, where it's 6 things we learn, we're singing Edouard Mendy's praises. He's a clear upgrade on the goalkeepers we've been used to. And not only that, but he's a very likeable character. You know, you see how happy he is. You see what it means to him to be back in France at his former stadium against his former teammates. Yes, he's just knocked them out of the Champions League. Yes, he's just gone through, but he looks like a very humble geezer. And I'm delighted with the way he's playing, and he made some big saves again yesterday when Chelsea needed him to do so. Now, box number 3, and I've given a red box to Timo Werner. I will explain the reason why it's a red box, first of all, because this whole 6 Things We Learned series, I like it to be a bit more dynamic than simply analysing the player's performance in the game that we've just witnessed. I like to sometimes use the box system and the tier system of red, yellow and green to compare the player not only against the other players on the pitch, but against the standard in which we are used to seeing from that player on a regular basis. I don't think there's many people that can disagree with the fact that yesterday's game from Timo was arguably one of the worst that we've seen from him at his time at Chelsea so far. There were moments where he did still look pretty good, but I bring up the chance that he missed within the 6-yard box in the early stages. It's kind of like you go to the gym, you do a massive leg day, which I can't say I do that often, but you know, I've been there before. And as you finish the session and you realise, blimey, the lift's broken, you've got to walk all the way down the stairs to exit the gym. And then when you get to the bottom of the stairs, you're just there like shaking and groggy and you don't even know if you can take the next step. It looked a little bit like that. Slight exaggeration, I know. But Werner looked tired. He looked as though he needed a rest, and obviously yesterday, he remains on the pitch right until the end of the game. He missed a lot of chances, and the reason I've given him a red is because the ceiling of ability that I know that Werner has is so much higher than the performance we saw yesterday. And I thought he looked very tired, he looked leggy, could have done with a rest, but you know, Chelsea were up against a strong opposition. We needed to get the job done. And the great news about Chelsea and our striker situation is we've not just got Timo, we've got Tammy who's firing on all cylinders at the moment, and we have got the elite world-class Olivier Giroud to call upon. Competition for places. There will be a big discussion about whether Timo should start the game at the weekend against Spurs. I'm pretty confident that he should and he will, but now there is a real discussion that needs to be had. We know that Spurs are going to set up very well defensively. Timo last night, he did not look up to scratch, and I think he just needs to keep building that confidence because he does get into a lot of great positions, but he's not finishing the percentage of chances that he would expect and that we expect as Chelsea fans, knowing the ability that he has. So let me know in the comments down below if you think I've been too harsh, but hopefully I've explained my reasons why I've given him a red. We move into box number 4, and it is a green box for Mr. Mason Mount. This man, every time he seems to step on that pitch, playing in the number 8 role for Chelsea, he answers every critic and more that he may have ever had over the past few months of people slating his performances, whether he was playing on the left wing or whether people just didn't get what Mason Mount does on the football pitch. I love Mason Mount's tenacity. I love that little spark of flair that he can have sometimes on the ball. And yesterday, we saw the most sumptuous assist for Callum Hudson-Odoi's goal. It was kind of reminiscent, I saw this on Twitter, I think it was Matisse who put it on Twitter, reminiscent of a Fabregas pass over the top to Diego Costa. It was that kind of goal yesterday from Chelsea. We saw Mason Mount's vision, Mason Mount's ability to play a pass, whether it's a short pass or a long pass. And I thought again yesterday he was brilliant. He would have had a goal himself if it wasn't for a brilliant close reaction save from Gomis, the Rennes goalkeeper. Chelsea could have had a few goals last night. Mason was key to a lot of the creative work that we did. We only just scraped by, but sometimes you've got to win games like this. And Mason Mount again is proving why even with Kai Havertz still to come back, he's a very key part and component of this Frank Lampard Chelsea team. Now I'm moving to box number 5 again. I know that I've given a lot of greens and a lot of blues and a flood of positivity in recent 6 Things We Learnt videos. And again, this one today, this yellow box for Ben Chilwell, is based off of the standard that he's set for himself, the standard that we have come to expect from him in a Chelsea shirt. And he did again look a little bit sloppy yesterday, Ben Chilwell. I don't think it was his best performance. I thought again, maybe he did look a little bit tired. I thought he got done a couple of times on that left-hand side. The way that I'm now viewing this Chelsea team and the way that we perform is based off of the standards that we keep setting for ourselves with these very good solid performances, these very fluid attacking performances. It wasn't up to that same standard yesterday. I know I keep repeating myself, but I don't want you guys to think that I'm just being very hypercritical and harsh on our players and trying to make you guys understand the kind of view that I'm having of where we're coming from here now. Because we still won the game, we still qualified for the last 16 of the Champions League, which is job done and it's a big success. I think if we would have played that way yesterday, in a last 16 tie, we would probably have got beaten, I wouldn't say easily, but we would have left ourselves with a mountain to climb in the second leg if that was a first leg performance, which I know it's hypothetical, but from what I've seen from Ben Chilwell, it wasn't his best game yesterday. I know he can do better, and I'm pretty sure he will, probably even this weekend against Spurs. And box number 6, I was absolutely delighted when I saw that Callum Hudson-Odoi was in the starting 11 for Chelsea. And lo and behold, Callum Hudson-Odoi delivered. It was a beautiful finish after Mason Mount's lovely ball over the top. Callum Hudson-Odoi races onto it, tucks it into the bottom corner. It's his second goal in as many games away from home this season in the Champions League. This is what I say about Callum every time. If he's going to be given the chance, with the fact that we've got so many good attacking players around the club, he knows he's got to deliver. And it wasn't just the goal yesterday that I was impressed with. It was the tracking back. It was the blocks that he made to help cover Azpilicueta, the right back yesterday for Chelsea. Callum's work rate was fantastic. He looked good going forward. Almost got an assist as well, I think, later in the game for Werner's header. I might have got that wrong, but I think it would have been his assist. I thought that Hudson-Odoi was fantastic yesterday. Exactly what we want him to do, exactly what we need him to do. And he got Chelsea up and running. We looked very good in the early stages of the game. We were dominating the early proceedings, similar to the way it went in the home leg against Rennes. We kind of gave away a lot of possession and opportunities towards the latter end of that first half. Hudson-Odoi was very good. And that wraps up the 6 things that I've learned from Rennes 1, Chelsea 2. I would love to know the 6 things that you learn, as always, in the comments down below. I know that I spent a lot of time kind of explaining the way that I like to analyse within this series. I don't just want it to be every match it's game by game. I want it to be, yes, we analyse what we saw on the pitch, but also the way that we're progressing as a team. And if players have poor games, I do want to address it instead of always just talking about the positives, which would be very easy to do when Chelsea keep on winning football matches, which of course I'm very happy with. But let me know the 6 things you learn in the comments down below. If you're not yet following me on both Twitter and Instagram, links to those are in the description. And I will catch you guys with a brand new Chelsea news video tomorrow as we start to build up for that game against Spurs on Sunday. See you guys there. Bye-bye.